Welcome, 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 my friends, wherever in the world you are. Today's topic is the vital third part in a four-part deep dive into the very popular non-lucrative visa for Spain with our expert visa and residency specialist, Chris from Upsticks to Spain. We'll be looking at that potentially stressful finally 3 months before your life-changing move and giving you all of the advice and tips to help it run smoothly. You can type in your questions now or in the live chat or in the comments if you're watching back afterwards, and you'll get the answers from Chris, who's on the front line of immigration on a daily basis. So he has all of the up-to-date information direct from the horse's mouth. And we'll be choosing some goodie bag winners later on, for the sender of the very best comments and questions. So don't miss that. We're going to help you all the way through so you can do the Spain thing too. You are very welcome to YouTooSpain. Here comes the theme. That is powerfully groovy. And speaking of groovy, let's welcome the groovy Chris from the groovy Upsticks. Hello, mate. How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm good. It's all busy at this time of the year. It's Halloween week as well, so lots has been happening.
Yeah, it is. It's quite warm. Well, we had some fantastic rain this morning, but that seems to have dried up, and it's now lovely evening sun, still warm.
Yeah, it's still warm here. It rained a lot. I saw some pictures of somebody who was heading off into the airport, and there was like flooding out on where the cars all turn into the car park. So
it takes about 4 drops here, doesn't it, to flood? That's the problem. So no, seriously, no, it's good. Where we live, Alarin de la Torre, after that, the floods of 2013, I think it was, they sort of dug up half the town because it was quite bad. And then so everything's all right. There was a little bit of surface water in the roads this morning, but it did rain quite heavily. Yeah.
Great. Well, it's I'm glad they've sorted it out more or less now. But yeah, you're right. It's that's one of the first things that somebody told me. Oh, that Steve up in Locker said. He said when it rains in Spain, it all happens all at once, very, very quickly. It all just kind of and falls on the earth. Then that's it for a bit. Yeah.
Just got to be careful of the driving. It sounds crazy, but that first bit of rain of the year, like what we had this morning, proper rain, the roads are so slippy. Yeah. And we don't have that porous tarmac like you do in the UK, which constantly dissipates water. And people aren't used to the driving distances. Now, you can't do anything about somebody running up behind you, but having your fog light on and being a bit cautious is a good idea, because people driving distances here in the wet, it's not a common thing.
Yeah, it's true. I actually fell over on a Spanish road. It's the steep one going into town, and it's just because it was raining at the time, and of course it doesn't soak in. You're right, and I just slipped on this very, very smooth surface. Yeah, these things happen. Hey, have you got any shout outs today before we get on?
I just want to shout out the guys. Last week I was in Alicante and Torrevieja for the World Nations Walking Football Cup. And Mark and Roy and Gary and everybody else who were there, they looked after me very well during my time, and I just wanted to give them a shout out and thank them for taking care of me when I was there.
Oh, that's lovely. And let's have a quick hello to people joining us on the live chat. There's just Ant and Kez on there at the moment. They're saying, hola peeps. We have the fire on. Oh dear. They're up in France, so it's a little bit cooler up there. 15 max and 6 low here. So yeah, we've still got temperatures going up to at least the mid-20s. You've probably got higher down on the coast, haven't you, Chris?
In the car, the way back on Saturday, the record temperature was 34 going through Murcia. It's a car, so we know it's a little bit exaggerated, but I can tell you it felt like it. And then it was just here in Malaga when I got it. The only time it was slightly chilled down was last night before the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, they said it's going to cool off a lot this week, and it is a bit grey out there, but no, the sun's still shining through. It's a bit difficult. It's one of these changeable weeks. So, lucky 2 days a week, sunny. Boo hoo, they say. Okay, right, let's get straight on with the topic. We'll wait for other people to join in on the live chat and say hello to them then. And just give us a wave, everybody, as you join in, so we know that you're there. I mean, I know how many people are there, but we can't see who it is. So this is part 3 in the series about the non-lucrative visa, which Chris has been with us for now for every 2 weeks. And today we're looking at the period from 3 months before your date of moving up to arriving in Spain. And Chris, this is something you help people with on a daily basis. So this should be a walk in the park for you to take us through a summary to start with of what people can expect to happen.
Yep. So this is, first of all, where you're initially now, we were talking last time about the timeline and that pin in the calendar that can be flexible. There's your target date. This is where you need your target date now. Mm-hmm. You know, so if you're looking at your consulate date, you know, in the calendar, this is really where you need to have something which is a lot more definite and secure than when a year ago when you go, no, it might be May, might be June type thing. Mm-hmm. And the reason being is because a lot of the documents have a expiry. So the medical certificate, for example, that has a 90-day shelf life. The marriage certificate, they're still using 90 days, unlike the DMV where they have it for 6 months. It's valid in the consulate for the NLV, it's still 90 days. And your criminal records is actually 180 days, 6 months.
Your mic's gone down a little bit low at the moment. Oh. Just pull it a tiny bit closer.
How's that?
Yeah, that's a bit better.
That's better. Sorry.
Yeah, it goes sometimes a bit burbly, but yeah, speak close to it. It should be fine.
That should be better.
Yeah. Pretend you're on the radio.
You're not Barry White.
Yeah.
So you need to basically now be having that pin in the calendar, because this is where your specific structure and timeline to ordering documents is going to be in place. Mm-hmm. So to start with, and aside from that, we'll go through the ordering of the documents now. Aside from that, what you also need to have a look at is a final check on things of personal expiry. So you have things like your passport, for example. So doing a discovery call just late last week, and it turned out that our client's passport only had 11 months left on it. We had another client who was teetering on and that suddenly moved that timeline we spoke about. So I'm like, you'd have to order a new passport. You can get them quite quickly, but you can't get your ACRO medical certificate until you get your new passport. Uh-huh. Yeah. So things like, this is going to sound crazy, but things like bank cards and stuff that you're going to be using for your journey. Okay, you need to make sure that they've got enough time on them to get you where you need to be in your journey. So we had a client who had a Pacific credit card who they were using for all the expenses. Okay, and they were using to track their expenses and how much it cost them, which I'd love that statement because I think it'd make a great article, wouldn't it? You know? And they were like, you're not going to believe it. I've had this credit card. It's going to expire. So they've had to get a new one because that's how they wanted to control their expenses for the visa. And that's what's going to take them into their life in Spain until they get set up here financially, shall we say. Mm-hmm. Driving licenses as well. You can exchange your driving license up to 6 months after arriving in Spain. But you don't want it to expire during that period, because once it expires, you can't renew it if you've become a resident in Spain. Mm. So all these things now really is where you're getting down to the nuts and bolts and the nitty gritty and making sure that it's ready to go, and you've looked at it with a fine tooth comb, and there's not going to be any nasty surprises. GHIC card, for example. Mm. If your GHIC card hasn't got that long on it, then if you can, try and renew it, because the likes of S1 people, there's a slight confusion about when one starts and when one ends, you know, so you need a valid GHIC card before your S1 gets registered. People on private health insurance, although you'll be receiving your health insurance the moment you get here to Spain, it's always handy to have the GHIC for emergency incidences, albeit you might be referred on to your private health insurance afterwards. So, this is where the nuts and bolts come into.
Yeah, and I can imagine there's people, if they've sold their house and moved in with their parents or any other relatives or friends or something like that, and they've still got all of the old addresses, all of their old address of the house that they've sold on any of those things that you've just talked about. That could be an issue if they suddenly have to change one of them, and then they have to get it redirected from their house, and they haven't done the redirection. So these are the sort of things that you need to be thinking about, before you do that, I suppose.
Yes, that's a very good point. Yeah, and we have something that comes up quite a bit with people who are in temporary accommodation or are going to leave the accommodation. So in this 3-month period, quite often what happens, and we talk about the 3 months because that's the shortest validity of the documents, isn't it? Sorry, the longest validity of 2 of the documents that you've got to order. So hence why you sort of squeeze it into there. It's crazy when you look at it to think you squeeze. We talk about it so much just for the marriage certificate, the medical certificate, isn't it? That's, but so during this period, a lot of people actually leave their permanent house, go to temporary accommodation before they then go and apply for their visa. And the biggest question we get asked is, what address do we use on our application forms? Okay. Well, at this point, we always say to people, there's no specific information in this on the BLS website, on the Consulate website, or is there any provision in the law about this? But what we've found with our experience is always best, honesty is the best policy, to put your last permanent address on the application forms, which will basically match your bank account statements. Most of the time it matches your driving license. You will actually, if you've sold a property, have a completion statement, and that might form part of your financial package, proving where the funds have come from. Okay, so you can actually prove that was your last permanent address. All right, and use that for the application, because when you do apply, you can actually write a different address where you would like the passport to be delivered to.
That's handy to know.
Okay, so and it is the truth. And in your presentation letter, you can say we are currently of, this is our last permanent address completion statement. This is one we use for the application forms. Everything's addressed there because our next step is Spain once we've got this visa.
Yes, yeah. Excellent. Yeah, let me just say Paul Cook's joined us 10 minutes late. Sorry, he says. And Ant says, looks like Man United have invented walking football since Fergie left.
Yeah.
Yes. And he said you sounded like a cross between Barry White and the old grey whistle test chap. That was Whispering Bob Harris. I remember him very well. And I was on his show once. Fantastic. Good memories. Anyway, by the way, viewers, don't forget to check out Chris's Upsticks website and YouTube channel. There's loads of stuff on there. The links are in the video description below, and I always put it in the comments, pinned to the top comment at the end of the show. And there's lots of articles and videos to help you out, and lots of the short videos as well, which are quite a lot of fun and just have a little bits and pieces of information on, which are really good. You do them when you walk out the office at night, don't you? I think it's great.
I did one this morning. I was driving to work, but then the road had a bit of surface water, and I said something which I probably can't put in the shorts.
Yeah.
I have to delete it. I was like, oh dear, let's just leave it at that.
You can edit them on your phone. You can chop bits out and.
I know. I'm still getting. I use CapCut because it's just everybody does it, and then I did see online that everybody said that if you use CapCut, then they have the right to your content and might use it somewhere else. I'm like, cool.
Okay. Yeah. Why not? Yes. So, and Chris's live update is on every Wednesday evening at 6:00 Spanish time, and that's lots of fun as well. And he's sometimes has special guests on.
Yes.
Lovely. And don't forget, of course, to check out buyscatzercoffee.com. They should change the name of the site to that, shouldn't they? And there's a SuperLink in the video description where you can access that one as well. So if you learned something of value to you today, or if you've been entertained, then use the link to donate a cup of coffee, 3 or 5 cups or 100 cups, whatever you think today's show is worth to you. 1 million cups. So let's continue. Tell us, Chris, what should be in place at this point? I think you've gone through a little bit of this, but just go into a bit more detail.
Yep. So in terms of what should be in place, well, here's where. So when we're going through it with our clients, obviously we're giving them the structure of what they need to do and when. Yeah. But this is when you're looking at making sure that you've got, aside from your document validity personally that we've just discussed, your passport, everything like that, what you need to order, so your criminal records, medical certificate, marriage certificate, etc., is going to fall into your timeline when you want to go to the consulate. This also includes speaking to professionals. So this is going to be your healthcare professional. If you need to get health insurance in place, you really need to speak to them, because that's going to fall into that timeline and that window. Bearing in mind that you do not have to have your healthcare started at the time you apply, but it does have to be paid for. It can post date the time you go to the consulate, so you don't waste as much. Aside from that, you want to make sure, obviously at this point, that you've also got the equipment you need to do all of this, because a lot of British people just don't need a printer, for example.
Yeah,
just do not need to print. Yeah, do not use to paperwork. What is paperwork? Like when I went to my mum's when we unfortunately lost my father in law, and I was like, "Where's all the paperwork?" They're like, "It's just in that box." Is that all you've got? I'm like, "Oh, in Spain we have so much." No, it's all there in that box. And the box, I'm like, "Is that it?" They're like, "Yeah." So, and it was true. The first time that I was guided through any sort of like death scenario and doing paperwork, and there really wasn't a lot to print off and fill out. I kept waiting for forms to come along, and there wasn't. So doing a visa is going to change your life, because you're going to go this application form. So having things like a printer really helps. Having things like access to a computer if you need one really helps. And things like that, getting yourself prepared to do the paperwork is a good idea.
And you also made a little video which I thought was brilliant the other week, which is if you've lost something, if you've lost any paperwork or your passport, there's one place you should look first, and that is on the scanner of your printer. It's always, I've had this happen to me, you've had it happen to you as well. I've had it happen with loads of documents, and I've just pulled everything upside down in the house and in my office, and then eventually the next thing I've gone to scan, I look in there and that's where it is.
Yeah, that is true. Because most of the time people are scanning documents to us, and they're not used to using it, so it's normal. You're gonna, where is it? Well, I left it there. Scan. I've done it so many times, and that's where you need to look.
It is, and it's because of the process of the scanning involves you after the scan has happened. You do something on the computer normally, and then you collect it, and then you might email it. And by the time you've done all of that, it might be 2, 3, 4 minutes later, and you've already got other things in your head by then. So, yeah, the last thing you're going to think of is to lift up the lid on the thing and take out the last document you left in there.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
That's true. And Paul Cook says, yes, done that myself many times. And Stephen Moody says, hola from Stephen Pauline. And Ant Care say, along with separate travel, they've just renewed their GHICs in the last 2 years. And also important is separate travel insurance to travel down to see you guys next year. Can't wait. Yes, looking forward to that, mate. And so the other thing that should be in place, I suppose, is your appointment. Your appointment at BLS. How far in advance?
No, you don't.
Oh, okay.
No, definitely not. Not now. In fact, people don't give me enough chance in booking an appointment. I'm just going to show you a Spanish GHIC. There you go.
Oh yeah, yes, I've got one. That's exactly the same.
Again, when I'm going on traveling, and we went to Italy without them. Do paperwork myself, and I was like, we haven't got a GHICs. A different country. Who's gonna help me in Italy if I get ill?
Yeah.
So I got all.
I don't know. Liz didn't get one when the last time she went to Ireland. I don't think she said, that's not important. We've lived in Ireland. You're a citizen. I said, well, I've got my GHIC. I think you should get one. And I gave her all the details. Still don't think she's got it now.
No,
So we'll have to
definitely
make
get
sure.
one. I got my R4 because we're going on a journey soon. So,
Is that if she goes to what about if she goes to England?
yeah, well, that's a good point. We don't have any insurance in England. I think as a British citizen, the NHS would see to you, but you wouldn't be on the. I wouldn't be on the records.
No, I'm not sure that they do unless you came over under the withdrawal agreement or you've got an S1 or something like that. I don't think it's for everybody, even
So
if you're a
I
UK
need these
citizen.
when I go to the UK. Then I never do anything.
Yeah, it's worth asking anyway. Ask on the
We have
UK.
well, we've got separate travel insurance, but that's really more for, you know,
Yeah, that's you need both, I think. Yeah.
my travel insurance is repatriates me to Spain.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'd do if I was going to the UK. I suppose, yeah, just leave me there.
No,
It doesn't
don't leave
really
me.
matter to me. I don't care what happens to
Don't leave
my
me in Peterborough.
remains. Yeah, don't leave. I should get a T-shirt with that on. Don't leave me in Peterborough, for God's sake.
Nothing wrong, Peter. My whole family are there, but this is my home, so
Yeah,
it was so yeah. But yeah, so that's so. What were we saying again? We were saying about
it's things to have in place.
yes. So
Oh
yeah,
no,
I
the
mean,
appointment as well.
the appointment. That's it. The appointment. No, don't book the appointment because the appointments are, and this is the craziest thing. The appointment booking system is absolutely terrible. It takes. I've got a video that I send to our clients, which takes them through the process, because you have to be the other side of the camera. So we can't book appointments for our clients because I'm not on the wrong side of the camera. We at least take a photo of me.
Yeah.
What we can do is jump on a laptop. Hence, I was talking about having a computer, having a laptop, and you can use like Google Screen Share to run through the process with somebody and actually have their. So quite often, what we do is we'll send the information to somebody, they'll just book it themselves, or we will. They can't do it because it can be so difficult. And we'll jump on a sort of screen sharing software and go through the process with our clients.
Mm-hmm.
There is a certain size of photo that you need. So you need to upload a passport photo less than 200 kbs, which can be a pain. It's better if that's PNG actually. But once you get through that process, I mean, the appointments are available like the next day. I could book one tomorrow for like 10 o'clock in BLS Manchester if I wanted to. And that doesn't give you enough time to finish off your documents. So the process has actually changed now, where we used to be, if you remember, well, I've flown back to the UK and done lives with you about what's going on with the appointments. That was the big thing, you remember? Just like crazy, knocking on doors, finding out how on earth we can actually get people into the consulate. And because BLS manage this now, I'm saying to people, please don't book it for the next day. Give us 24 hours to check the documents that they've sent you, make sure the dates are written correctly on the application forms, etc. So we have exactly the opposite problem that we had 3 or 4 years ago. So you really don't need to book it until your documents are complete and you're happy with your file. You don't need to book your appointment.
That is good to know. Oh, Ant's made another joke. I left my heart in San Francisco. They're getting worse. They're really, and sometimes it's not possible to get worse.
They've gone from daddy jokes to granddad jokes now. He's getting 70. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. Keep trying, though, Ant.
Yeah,
keep trying. We'll still love you, whatever happens. And we'll do some. We'll talk about some more tips for the appointment in a minute. But I've just got a quick video message. Actually, it's from Charisse, our friend Charisse, who's part of our network, and she had this special offer on. And what we've done is we've put together a little video of it to save me talking about it. So let's just put that up now. It's like 30 seconds long. Here we go. There we go. That was a nice little video, wasn't it? Cheerful music. Brilliant.
I can't recommend Cherries enough. I tell you, she's our personal family lawyer. Yeah, oh, not that we're getting divorced or anything like that. So,
No, there's lots of family stuff that you can do without divorce.
yeah. So for things that we need, with property or anything like that, and I'm gonna do a video all about it when stuff's gone on. But she's been absolute amazing. Then I know she's worked with a lot of our clients doing like contract reviews and stuff like that. So yeah, great.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff that they do, all criminal law as well. It's all, but yeah, she just wanted to push especially the property law at the moment.
And people say, because people say to me, wait a minute, don't you do paperwork? Why do you need a lawyer to do stuff? And I'm going, well, because I don't do that paperwork. And it is so true. If you look at it and go, this is alien to me. Love talking about what we're talking about now and what we do, but like anything else is like, like property, for example, it's just changed so much. And you really do have to be on the ball. It used to be quite, I won't say easy, but it was easier. And now with the constant European laws which are coming in and money laundering laws which are coming in, it's just you do need somebody on the ball if you're dealing with any sort of property.
Yeah, have a specialist. Good, that's a very good tip. So we're back onto tips, but tips for the appointment. What tips can you give people about what happens when you get there, or what you need to prepare for?
So you've obviously got all your documents ready. You have your folder ready. You've got your appointment. The main thing is first of all, I say to people, because a lot of people put themselves under a lot of. It's so easy for me to say because I live in Spain, so yeah, I'm living the dream. Yeah, so 72 hours. Telling someone no, actually, I think you need 2 extra days just to calm down, get it right, go there, whatever. Is a lifetime for someone who's desperate to move over. I understand. Yeah. Especially if that's been your dream and you've reached retirement age. Yeah. So first of all, we understand that, don't we? But sometimes it's good just to give yourself that extra day. Yeah. So a lot of people rush into it. So I'm like, let's take the tranquilo Spanish notion of give yourself at least 72 hours to get to the appointment. There might be something that comes up which you've got an extra question about. You shouldn't have missed anything if you're working with us, but if you're on your own, you might want to go through the checklist again, etc. Just give yourself plenty of time. Obviously do your research of where you need to go. The places like Manchester at the moment have a lot of road work, so I had a client that was like, we're just going to drive, and I'm like, just driving isn't always good in Salford.
No.
Check out the car parks where you can stop. Ideally, and this is if you can stay the night before, right, and it is part of your journey. All this stress and everything. Try and enjoy it as well. So it's a little bit like coming to get your TIE card in Malaga. I'm always telling everybody, come the night before or come on the day and then stay the night and have some tapas. Enjoy it. You're gonna,
absolutely.
Enjoy it. If you get, London, it's not always possible in the London consulate because it can be expensive to stay. But if possible, stay the night before. At least have your travel planned, mapped out, and get there, earlier than your appointment. Now, a lot of the times they won't see you until 15 minutes before your appointment. But hey, it's best to be having a coffee around the corner, getting ready, and then wander in relaxed than it is to be rushing in 10 minutes late.
Yeah. Any other tips for that then?
So you've got when you book your appointment, make sure you've printed off your appointment booking, because in theory you're not supposed to have the mobile phone. So although most people sit there on the mobile phones nowadays, you're not supposed to. So you will need that printed off. There's no dress code for the BLS office, but don't go in your Bermudas really. Try and have if anything, go with something that's got extra pockets. You're not allowed to take big bags and suitcases, but it's not very well worded on the BLS website. And basically, so you're not allowed to go with big bags. Well, you can go with something which accommodates what you're carrying to apply. Okay, that's not a problem. What they're trying to avoid is, and what you've got to remember, is that the BLS office don't just do non-lucrative visas. In fact, I think they do a lot more visas, a lot of them being transient visas for people who may need short stay visas for other countries, and quite often they'll be carrying their belongings. So you can't go in with a suitcase that couldn't fit around there. So that's where that sort of information is directed to people, not you guys who are going with a big bag of your folders.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
Obviously, you need valid payment method because you're looking at £570 per person. So make sure you got something. Always have a card backup. Don't just depend on the card payments on a phone. We've seen problems with that for some reason before. And make sure you've got a pen with you because you've got to sign extra documentation when you're there. And crazy things like make sure you remember your readers.
Mhm.
And what else was I going to say? And then, last but not least, is just you've got to remember now everything's shifted slightly from consulate to BLS. That the BLS office is just not the consulate. Now, the consulate, you sort of have this image of going in and there's going to be, Spanish guy, probably with a moustache and a flag, looking serious, going through your documents, and asking why you want to come to his country. The BLS office couldn't be further from that. It literally is somebody who is people who I've spoken to have akined it to the post office, the dole office. you know,
Oh.
It's just a counter, and the counter's quite high, so you can't see what's going on behind. That person's got 15 minutes to process you, doesn't care why you're going to Spain, just wants to know that you've got the paperwork and take your money, unfortunately.
Yeah. And are they still Spanish people in there?
Not all the time. Most of the time, yes, but I've had a couple of clients report back that the person said they didn't even speak Spanish. So, they're
Wow.
going through a checklist. Most of the time, and most of the reports come back that it's somebody who speaks Spanish and as their first language. But a lot of the time, we've had a couple who said no.
Wow.
I mean, the other tip would be that to make sure, and it happened to an awful lot last year. Like we got a couple of requirement letters going. We require the P45, for example. Yeah. And I was like, look at the notes going, I thought you had a P45. In fact, I've got here, you gave it work on the 31st and you told me you had it. In fact, it's in our file. What's going on? They're like, they told me they didn't need it. But the BLS are dealing with an awful lot of applications of different visas. So, they person behind the desk, oh no, we don't need that. And then, they know if they send it to the consulate will say we need it, so we'll send you a letter type thing. But, if you've had somebody helping you to prepare your file, make sure that everything they've told you to take gets handed in.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good tip. Yeah. Cool. And what about? Any more tips, or how do you prepare people mentally for this part of the process? That's worth knowing.
Yeah, it's sort of again going back to what I was saying about just taking your time and just remembering that you're that the problem is we always focus on the negative, don't we, on social media and stuff like that. And the positive is that most people don't have any problems, or if they do have any problems, they're quite easy to resolve. Yeah, so negative news spreads fast, whereas all the positive stuff sometimes doesn't even get published, does it? And also try and prepare people, because people sometimes will put their life on hold until their visa's in their hand, then it's a rush to get to Spain. Yeah. So, you've used that period wisely while you're waiting for a visa. So if it's in Manchester, it's about 4 weeks, 4 months at the moment, but, London could be shorter. To start preparing your move over, to Spain the best you can. So a lot of stuff you can't do, but a lot of stuff you can do, and also that point beforehand is where you've got to start planning your travel, which may mean, for example, if you go on a ferry with animals, making sure you can find the right flexible ticket, which gives you the options. You know about this more than anybody, don't you? You do.
Oh, that was from Ireland. I mean, there's only one place you can get the ferry from, and that's Rosslare. And we had to book ours 6 months in advance. If we hadn't booked it on that particular date, the ferries stop at the end of October, so they don't go to the north of Spain. They can't travel over that bit of sea over a period of 32 hours or something like that, because that's how long it took to get to Bilbao. So they stopped the ferries in October, and if we hadn't booked ours in whenever it was, April or May, as soon as we said, look, we've got to go, we had a choice of going October, or we had to wait until April the following year.
Wow.
So yeah, and that was and there was only a certain number of dog cabins where they let you keep the dog.
Wow.
So we were lucky to get one there, and I know of people who tried later on, and then they just couldn't go, or they had to somehow get through the UK and go that way, and then get a ferry across to France because they run all year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's important to get that sorted quite far in advance.
Yeah, and especially things like pets and stuff as well, isn't it? You know, 'cause you can't always get accommodated for.
Yeah, that's true. And tying it in with all of your vaccinations and things like that can be tricky. Although I think when we got on the ferry to Spain, we were all there with their pet passport and everything, and they said, "Oh no, you don't need to worry about that. We just need your passport." We'd spent ages getting the pet passport ready and the vaccinations and all stamped on the inside of the thing. They didn't even look at them. I was amazed. But when we got to the vets, when we got to Spain, then we had to get the Spain passport and all of the vaccinations transferred to all of that, and they had to get everything checked. So it's worth doing it, but you don't necessarily need it once you get to border control. Or then again, they might ask for all of it. So I don't know. It depends who you get. Again, it depends.
Yeah, I've heard quite a few times people saying that they've gone to all that effort to get pet passports and stuff like that, and then they haven't looked at them.
But yes, you definitely need one when you're here.
Yeah,
they can be quite strict, and they've made new laws. I don't know if they've implemented all of them yet. You're supposed to have a license, I think, for a dog now, or have they not brought that one in yet? I don't know if they've put it through and published it yet in the bulletin.
I know that I'll find out over the next couple of months as we're going through the initial vaccination process.
Yes, you will. Well, yeah, let us know. Maybe we'll do a show about that.
Yeah.
Jude has said, any news on Manchester visas this week? And since they've asked the question, you've said 4 months.
Nothing back yet. We've got people now on 15 weeks at the moment. Nightmare, really. Everybody's tried. We've sent letters in, tried to contact them. No, nothing at all. Just that we're busy. That's it.
Yeah.
So
I'm just going to throw in my usual plug for our link for smart currency exchange. They have got a special offer on at the moment just for YouTooSpain customers. So if you click on the link below, it's in the video description and it'll be in the comments as well, then that is, I think, on offer until the end of November. So you've got another month to get that one. So definitely use that link. And you can get lots of information, PDFs and stuff about the whole process as well. So that's a win-win-win with a cherry on top. Oh, shall I put that up on the screen? Where's it gone? There it is. And I should put "it depends" up there as well. We'll need that at some point today.
Yeah.
There you go. And so what are the things that people get wrong during this final 3 months?
I think that a lot of the time it's so we've had it the last week actually. People didn't realise that they had to actually wait in the UK with their passport, for example, so the passport gets retained. For me, I personally don't think it's a good idea that you retain your passport, though Edinburgh have actually let people have their passports back. We recently had one where that light's really bright today, isn't it? What's going on?
It is, yeah.
It's like a ghost.
I always get it just on one side of my head. I don't know. I've got the same light on either side of me, and it's really bright on one side. I've got one on.
Do you know what I think it is? There's no light coming from anywhere else because the clocks have changed. It's all dark.
Is that
outside.
it? Oh, it's all got, yeah. That'll
So
be it.
there's nothing to diffuse it, is there?
Can't you turn it down? You're not going to.
I don't know. It's an F one from Temu. I think it's got one.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to spend €7 on Temu instead of 5, won't I? So yeah, no. So yeah. So you've got what we're talking about then. That was the
mistakes.
Mistakes. That was it. Yes, I think the mistakes that people make are, generally maybe relate to more our previous video, but making sure that you've got your ducks in a row, i.e. understanding the process, contacting with your specialist quite early, so you realize, oh, hang on a minute, I have got to hand my passport over. Things like we also have people who say, right, we're getting started. We've started our health insurance already, so that's sorted out. Go, no, you should have sorted that out already. You need a full 12 months on that, really. In theory, a lot of the certificates say it's renewable for every 12 months, but you're also wasted health insurance. So it's really getting that timing element, which is the big mistake. Things we spoke before about the criminal records, didn't we? Checking beforehand to see if anything's going to pop up on there. Don't just leave it last minute if you believe that something could be on there. So really, and the other mistake is, sometimes depending on where you're going to be moving to and your circumstances, whether you're going to be renting, buying, or whatever, it's just making sure that the next thing we're going to talk about in our next video, about the actual move to Spain, making sure that you don't jump the gun on any of that as well. Because and making sure you know where you're going. So things like the difference between Almeria and Malaga. Well, Malaga, for the first concession, don't ask for a Padron certificate most of the time, which means you can actually use temporary accommodation, which gives you a little bit more time to plan your move. Whereas Almeria do. So you really need to have to plan your move, if you're going to that province. So making sure that you've got your sort of post-appointment ducks in a row, as well as everything for the appointment, is a good idea.
Talking about the acro and stuff, we have a question from Capitano. He says, I was told that I don't need to get the acro or medical certificate transcribed into Spanish, as this is law that it has to be accepted. Don't know what that means. I can't get an answer from the consulate. Any view on this?
Yeah, no, rubbish. You have to have it translated.
Yeah.
I think where that might be because some of the medical certificates which are produced by UK doctors are actually being done in Spanish, which don't require a translation as well. Okay, so if the doctor signed off and it comes bilingual, you don't need an official translation of it. It does need an apostille, albeit it still comes from the UK. So there is some confusion about that. At the moment, the consulates are accepting documents from UK doctors which are apostilled and come in English and in Spanish. Doesn't require an official translation. Acro criminal records check always requires a translation.
Yeah. So that is the rule, really, isn't it? Anything with a lot of writing on it, apart from bank statements, needs translating. They're Spanish. They speak Spanish. Anything
that carries an apostille, we'll need a translation, basically. Anything that requires so that's marriage certificate, birth certificates if you're taking a minor with you, civil registration certificates, criminal record certificates, medical certificates if it comes from the UK and isn't already in Spanish.
Brilliant. There you go. Hope that answers your question. Capitano. El Capitano. And okay, so any other mistakes and any ways that you can avoid them?
I think trying to think now mistakes. What you can say, I wrote down a lot of notes, can't you, for this?
Yeah, you don't need notes for this. It's all in your head now.
Yeah, no. Biggest mistakes, I say that the timing, rushing too much. But apart from that, as long as you're not leaving documents with a consulate, that's a big one. Make sure you take everything there, at the consulate. And it's all about the planning. As we always talk about, making sure that you don't just give yourself that extra time in everything you do. Just don't rush. Turn the dial down slightly, because that is what causes mistakes. Like, last minute things. Like, the problem you get is as well, you're preparing documents months in advance. Yeah. So a classic is the S1. Okay, the S1, you have to take the S1 pre-registration of the S1. Registration in Spain of the S1, and that's it. But to do the S1, you first need to sign, for example, if we're doing it, an authorization document. That then gets disregarded because we don't need it. We only need that for this side. You'll get a letter with 4 bits of paper with it. That's also disregarded. You get 2 copies of the S1. You only need to take one with you. So it's really just making sure that as you are going through the process, that you pay attention to everything, you know, that's been you either been told or were you doing it yourself. Make sure you've got the list in front of you so you don't take all the extra stuff you don't need, and you go well prepared. Don't have any last minute like panics of, oh, what exactly is that, you know.
Good stuff. Capitana says, thank you. I got my health insurance in June. It has an auto renew. Will this be okay, or will I need to extend it?
Good question. Now, if it says on it that it's auto, now you should have in theory, 12 months, but it is auto renewable, and I assume that yours will be auto renewable at the in the middle of June next year. Now, so far, with people who've had health insurance that actually say on the certificate that it automatically renews, and they've taken proof of payment for the full year, we haven't had a problem. Okay, doesn't mean they won't ask for it to be extended, you know, at the BLS office. So all I've said is that at the moment, for everybody who's already started their health insurance, or maybe in the case of one client we've just recently had, they've had a vested interest in Spain for over 6 or 7 years, okay, because they tried to get in during Brexit, didn't get their withdrawal agreement residency because of family circumstances, kept their health insurance on because they kept visiting Spain, and they had that, and basically that was accepted on the basis that it's been annually renewing. Okay. But yeah, I would say that you should be okay. There's not 100% guarantee like it would be if you have 12 months from the time of actually applying.
Okay. Great. I'd not thought about that. People getting their health insurance early. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so we've gone through the common mistakes. I was thinking about things like what to take and what to store. We did cover this on the last show, but it's best to reiterate it because some people might still be just deciding on this and not quite decided on their removals company, etc. Although it would be quite late if you were only doing this just 3 months before. But this could be your last chance to downsize on your belongings. What do you think about that, Chris?
Yeah, I think, you know, nowadays one of the biggest things that people used to do was bring lots of white goods and lots of stuff because it was cheaper in the UK than Spain. So anything from, you know, computer printers to, you know, fridges, TVs, you know, stuff like that. That's just not the case anymore. You know, that's changed. Only recently, though, you know, the last decade, you know, it's even less, I think, you know, 7 or 8 years where we've seen that a lot of the electronical goods in Spain become comparative to UK prices, which I'm assuming is because the competitiveness in the market has got a lot fiercer here now with big companies like Wharton and MediaMarkt, no? Yeah. Because MediaMarkt wasn't around 10 years ago. It was probably, 10, 15 years ago it kicked off. But before that, you know, if you wanted a fridge, you had to go to your local fridge man who could charge you what you liked. Yeah. So things like white goods, unless it's something that you really, really love, don't bring it. Really, you know. In clothes, again, you know, only things that you really love because everything's available here. Spain is, as now we have outlets now. We never used to have those before, did we? You know, it was only Corte Inglés outlet, and then there's outlet malls, isn't there now? So you know, Spain has embraced unfortunately that side of things, so you don't need to bring it with you.
They all look the same now. Yeah, well, apart from me, I'm still buying from all of the multicoloured shops, so. And
I only wear Upsticks t-shirts, so
yeah, that's true. Always exactly the same, just has a different town on the front.
Yeah. That's why I did it, just to switch up a bit. But the new design in another 7 or 8 years, I'll change them again. But yeah, then in terms of actual personal stuff, though, it's going back to the paperwork side of things, isn't it? It's making sure that you know, before you leave, like we had a problem with a client who couldn't access their banking, and they were like, "I'll just come to the branch and we'll sort it out." And they're like, "The branch that used to be next to my house was 50 miles away anyway. And B, it was just impossible. So there was, if there's anything you feel you need to sort out in the UK to be able to access any of your digital platforms like banking or, you know, your government gateway or something like that, where you might have to get in before, you know, once you're over here in Spain, make sure that all your stuff is accessed. Crazy one, another one was a client of ours who had a rental property that had security cameras alarms. And they just couldn't, and they had to reset it when they're in Spain, and they guys like, no, they just couldn't do it. It was a nightmare. They could have done it, could have left and informed that company they were leaving, okay, and it would have been fine. So, you know, digitally as well, trying to get yourself prepared and use that time for your purposes.
Yes, indeed. I was just thinking, one question that I didn't write down was, is there anything that you need to do in this 3 months in advance to plan for what we're going to be talking about in 2 weeks' time on part 4 of this thing? So towards your residency, is there anything you need to be prepared for in advance for that?
I think a lot of when we do this in our booklet is familiarizing yourself. So, you know, you term it when we give out our booklet, there's terminology in the back, which is things you need to learn, which things like Padron certificate. You know, I think familiarizing yourself with the next process is a good idea. So, I mean, aside from the psychological aspect of moving to Spain, you go somewhere different. We haven't really spoken about, you know, talking to the family about it, but, you know, this kind of time is when you really are preparing not only yourselves, but your family as well. If you've got everything from grandkids to parents that you might be leaving, you know, so there's that whole aspect of it where a lot of our clients are people are living longer nowadays. We've got clients who are retired who are still leaving parents at home, you know. So getting that side of things it might be been to the back of your mind sorted out. And then, you know, in terms of preparing, obviously your accommodation, going back to what I said before about depending on the province, you might just be able to turn up and live in a tent for a bit. No, not quite, but you know, we'll deal with that when we get there. To actually, when I get there, I'm going to have to get somewhere to move into because I need a Padron certificate. Okay, so making that assessment's good. And then, you know, just familiarizing yourself with your timelines as well. So once you enter Spain, are you going to be coming through somewhere like a ground? Well, with EES, we don't know how it's playing out yet. Currently, at the moment, Malaga is still stamping everybody, but you know,
I had a rumor that they've started on. I don't know if it's on every flight, but they've started using the machines. But I'll have to check again with what people are saying. So actually, that's one thing for people out there. If you're doing any travelling and you're going through where there's EES machines, tell us if they're on and tell us which airport you're going from and to, and and I'm going to carry on updating on some shorts over the next few weeks, just so that people know. That's worth knowing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, let us know. I know they said a big announcement starting on the 20th in Malaga, and I was there on the 20th, and everybody's coming out going, nah.
Yeah. I think it was only yesterday when I heard somebody say, yes, the people were going through the machines. Oh, but they weren't doing. They were doing face scans, but not fingerprints. So I think they were just going like halfway or something like that, just checking out one side of it. Which maybe that's a good thing because it's not going to take as much time. And maybe it's the fingerprints that are the more difficult. Maybe they're not registering as much. I've seen the process. I've seen a little video of how it works. You know, you put your 4 fingers on. They don't take your thumb. You just slide the 4 fingers in, and then it's got a little square that comes up underneath each finger, and then a green light comes on each one if they've registered it. And if they don't all register, then you've got to put your left hand in the left hand one and see if that works on that one. And so maybe that's not quite as good a system at the moment.
I don't know. Are they going to keep them clean? Because, like in the police station, when we do the fingerprints for everybody, every 5 minutes they're cleaning it and they doesn't work. And then you get people who don't have particularly distinctive fingerprints. So this happens to us when we're at the police station. That you know, some people just can't get a fingerprint from.
Yeah.
What happens if people are missing limbs? That's not uncommon.
Well, if there's an irregular situation, what happens is you'll go afterwards. You'll go to the border control, and they'll probably scan your passport in and do something on their machine to do it anyway. They'll do it manually if for anything irregular, and I think that a lot of them are doing that now. If you've got an EU couple, a mixed couple, one of them's EU, one of them's non-EU, you'll need to go to border control anyway. You'll need to go to a person, and they'll do it manually at the moment until they work out a system where it's all joined together on the machine. But the EES is just for that particular registering. But I guess they'll have to join your passport together with your spouse at some point on the system, so that they know that if you're travelling together on the same day, that it registers, so that when you leave in 4 months' time, or say you go back out through the Schengen border and you've overstayed by a month, then well, you'll have to go straight to border control then, and you'll have to explain it if they've not registered it on the system like that. So we haven't got any complete answers on that yet, and we probably won't have for a few months down the line, because that's when people will be coming back out and they'll be going, hang on, but you said you've been here for 5 months. And you say, well, I've been touring around with my spouse. They're an EU citizen, so I've got rights. So, and will every border control around the whole of the Schengen area know that's okay? This will be interesting. So there's going to be loads of videos that we'll do about that.
It's going to be lots of experience. Did you see that Kev put up on my channel there about travelling with a valid resguardo?
Yeah. I think he mentioned it on the last show. I think he was on then. Oh no, it was on your. Oh, I was on your show, wasn't I? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's worth mentioning. So that's the first experience we've got of anybody. Jan was travelling. She'd had a TIE card appointment, hasn't received a new TIE card, has a resguardo from that appointment, travelled on that, came in, put her passport in, and it recognised that her TIE card was being processed by the police and let her through.
Yeah.
So
that's a good sign. Something's connecting somewhere. Good. Oh, Capitano has one last question from me. By the way, anybody, if you do have questions, we're coming up to the hour now, and I'm sure Chris has got to get off, and my dinner's going to be ready any minute. So get your questions asked while we're answering this one. This should be fairly easy. This is, I have a letter of invite from a friend to say I'll be staying there, and a copy of her empadronamiento. Will this be okay? Presumably you're talking about for residency when you arrive in Spain.
No, she might be talking about that crazy article that comes up every 2 years about the carta de invitación, maybe. That.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
it could be. So the carta de invitación. Well, you can answer that one. It's hasta luego.
Yeah, the carta de invitación is the.
Sorry, it's 1 minute to say goodbye to staff.
Yeah, it's all right. I'll answer that one. Let's just.
No, mañana no vienes, no? Es miércoles.
Let's just mute Chris for a moment. Yes, that's the letter that you get. Tell us if this is the case in Capitano. This is the letter that everybody's told that they need to get when they. You're still muted, Chris. Let's just unmute you. I'm still explaining the carta de invitación. That's the letter that everybody's been told by the tabloid press they need to have in place when they go through the border, and the police are checking it, or the border control are checking it. But and the EES people have reported that that's something that they get asked on the EES. Have you got permission to stay, and where exactly are you staying?
Oh, really?
I think it's one of the questions on some of the machines, but I don't know. I've not heard enough reports on that from enough airports yet. So is that what you're talking about, Capitano, or is it what you'll need once you get there in order to get your residency and to get on the padron?
So normally in this circumstance here, where it says, I have a letter of invite from a friend, so I'll be staying there in a padron. Yep, perfect. Will this be okay? So if this was, say, once you've got your visa, you're coming into Spain, you wouldn't need it because you've got a visa in your passport. But if you're registering on the padron, a lot of the time, if someone's going to register you on their padron, if they own that property, they're already registered on the padron. As long as they've got proof of that ownership, they go with you. sign a declaración responsable to say you're living there, it means they're taking responsibility for signing you on, okay, then that's fine. If they are in rented accommodation, then normally they can't do that. So you can't have a rental contract where, two people are on it and you're an adult and you want to join that person, but you want to figure on the rental contract, you'd have to have the owners write an annex to that contract, or maybe even change the contract to allow you to sign on the padron there. It's not the same for kids. If you've got kids, they evidently don't have to figure on the rental contract. So, yeah.
He's answered the question. Capitano says it was for the application proving I have somewhere to stay. Is that on your visa application?
Right. Okay. I understand. When you go to that, your BLS office. That's great. Do you know what? That's a good thing to have on you. It's not. We have plenty of clients who, primates? No.
Primate.
Clients who, it's Monday. They call it. Have you ever heard the Spanish saying "de lunes"? That's just.
Yeah.
It's just how are you feeling? How are you today? It's just Monday.
Yeah.
So if you're, that's a great thing to have on you as an extra document. Leave it at the end of your file. Okay, but in theory, you don't need that. We have plenty of people who only have temporary addresses and don't have proof of that temporary address in Spain and get their visas. So, can you get a visa without it? Yes. Is it something that's good to have in your file? Increasingly, yes, they're getting increasingly stricter with the requirements. So that's a great thing to have.
Good. So you don't need any more.
Include it in your presentation letter. If you're doing a presentation letter, again, not an official requirement, but if you are doing a presentation letter and you've got something that maybe you imagine, this is the biggest thing I say to people, you imagine you are the person revising your file. So if you didn't know anything about yourself and someone just sat there after a bad coffee in London on a rainy morning and they threw your file at them in the consulate and they opened that file and they've just got a random padron going, doesn't even match anybody. How would they know where that is? Well, you'd have a presentation letter, and like Capitano said, another letter attached to that proving what it actually is.
Yes, and in Spanish.
En español.
Yes. Okay. Right then. Any final other hints and tips, and any other final questions, people on the live chat? So let's start with you, Chris. Anything we haven't mentioned? Anything else you want to say?
I think just going back to that final comment, really, just if you put yourself, and this happens with all immigration circumstances, try and put yourself the other side of the desk. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And just feel, what will that, because a lot of people will be like, well, I've got the passive income. Of course, I've got the passive income. You can see it in my bank accounts, and then there's bank accounts which are like that thick. And some, DWP is pretty obvious, but some of the private pensions aren't even explained in there. Yeah. So even when you're talking to the person who's preparing your paperwork, remember they have no clue what your income is and no assumption about what it is. So always, when talking about preparing your income, and presenting it to somebody like the consulate, the BLS office, or even the person who's preparing your paperwork, like me, just think of like the steps of, what is the origins of it and how do I prove it? Generally a P60, those kind of things. How do I prove I'm being paid it, right? And how do I explain that? Yeah. So if you say, there's a P60 from General Life, for example, and that goes into the Barclays account, and that is reflected on payments on this date, and this is how the payments are reflected. And that's a really easy thing to put in a presentation letter, right? And you could do that 4 or 5 times, and then actually at the bottom sum up how much that meets over the year, okay, and then what that equivalent is in euros during that time, So just try and think, what would be the person who's looking at my file? How would they make this assessment? Making it as simple as possible, maybe in a presentation letter, because it's quite normal in the UK for people to have 4 or 5 jobs during their career, right? Or, like in the case of a client we've recently had, I was like, blimey, you've been about. And he's like, well, actually, I haven't. But what has happened is my company got taken over 5 times, right? Yeah. So I've ended up with pension pots and one here from when I was here, and this happened here, and it was like, that's brilliant, because now you've explained it, I sort of understand and that's how we're going to present it to the consulate. And also, that's how your renewals are going to be presented because you're working on a passive income basis.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's so good to know. So knowing in advance what the people behind the desk want to see and want to hear, and in what order, and thinking from their point of view is really important. You've got to make their job as easy as possible.
Yeah, yeah. As you would want to if you were doing that job. It's like if you've ever worked in retail and been behind the counter, and someone comes up to you and asks you something that's really confusing and muddling, doesn't really apply to you. So, whereas if they can go, oh, actually, I've got 4 nice clean files. We always lovely. That's why we get. Fortunately, we get a lot of feedback, blow our own trumpet when the clients go to BLS office. They're phew, Upsticks file. That's why we invented them, so people could get used to seeing the files and knowing they just step down that nervousness and go, yeah, we know this is going to be okay. So just making sure exactly that you preempt, try and put yourself in the mind of that person, and it's a kind of a mindset I try and tell the clients anyway. Even when the clients when you're in Spain, because the other day I had a client was really angry at the medical centre because they didn't speak English, but I was like, well, what time were you there? They were like at 9:32 on a Monday morning, and it was just stressful, and the person behind the counter didn't speak. They weren't particularly that bothered. I'm going, okay, well, let's turn the tables. If you could go with anything prepared, go them in Spanish, that's a good idea because the person will probably be up at 7 o'clock. Been hammered because it's a Monday morning, not particularly bothered that your paperwork isn't in order, and stuff like that. So I'm not defending the administrative staff. I'm just saying that the easier you can make their job in any circumstance, it's going to be better for yourself and them.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of empathy, always good.
Bit of love.
Yeah, a bit of love and empathy. Don't believe what Trump says.
Why was he saying that? I don't know.
Although they're all saying all the top Republicans are all saying empathy. Oh, it's horrible. It's the worst thing ever, and that's because they don't understand what it is.
I turned the news on for 5 minutes yesterday evening, and all I saw was Trump getting off a plane and dancing. So I just turned it off.
Yeah. That's what you get. It's all a distraction from what's really happening. Yeah. There you go. Let's read some of the last of the messages over here then. And she's saying, Buenas noches a todos, bon appetit, buena continuación y hasta la pasta. That's a good one. And until the pasta, until the money, until the, whatever. Means a few things, that, isn't it? Lasagna beckons, bon appetit. Yes, bon appetit. Or
ask a Spaniard what until the eggs means.
Until the eggs.
I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it. It's a little bit swear wordy in Spanish, but until the eggs.
Is it? Okay, then. Until the eggs.
Say it, no one cares. Hasta los huevos.
Hasta los huevos.
Yeah, Google that.
I will then. That's
until the eggs.
Until the eggs. And Lauren says, thanks for all you do. Missed most of the live this week. You can always catch up, Lauren. And thanks for what you both do. Absolutely. Oh, goodie bag. Goodie bag. Should we give one of those?
Capitano, no?
Capitano, yes. And what about Lauren? Has Lauren had one yet?
Oh, I don't know. Lauren, you can have one.
Yeah. So Capitano and Lauren, send your details. Get in touch with Chris at YouTube at upsticks.es. That's an email address for you. And you can organise to get your goodie bags. There you go. You get the prizes for this week. I think everybody else on here has had one. Yeah.
Do you know who I spoke to today? Who's always on? He's not on now. Piloto Paul. Paul Piloto.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I spoke to Paul today. That was nice.
Very nice.
2 years of looking at him on the commented.
Yeah, marvellous. It must be great when you meet them. I don't get to meet any of them. Obviously we've met Ant and Kez, but most of the people I've seen on here I've not yet met yet. So we'll have to all have a get together one day.
I met at the weekend. I met Compter Resident of the Year, Coroner Resident of the Year, Sam, who plays for Spain's Fortis walking football.
Oh yes, yeah. I think
which was our client as well, and I was in, and I got changed after the night do. I got changed. They're like, oh, you coming for a beer afterwards? I'm like, yeah, of course. So I went back and got changed, put my Upsticks t-shirt on, and then when I put that on, I got to the bar, and everybody went, I recognise you from the podcast now. I was like, yes. They were like, I didn't see you over. I should have worn that at the do, shouldn't I? But and then Sam came over and went, I used that company to do my visa. And I went, oh, who did you talk to? She went, it was some guy called Chris. I went, that's me. She went, no way. And it turns out, I mean, she did amazing things there. You know, competent resident of the year, and they came third in the walk-in football, and it was great.
Yeah. I think there was 3 of them in the big national team from Computer.
Yeah, I think 2 are playing next week though. If I know.
Oh, are they? Okay. Then.
Yeah.
There's a picture of them on Computer Social Facebook group today.
Oh, they'd have been there then. I just didn't meet him. I met Sam.
Oh yeah. There you go.
It was great to hear the stories of what happens up there in Compton. I think it's just incredible. It's a great community up there.
Yeah, and we seem to have loads of people who keep coming up to me and going, "Oh yes, yeah, I'll watch your site." And Chris helped us to move here, and so yeah, it's happening more and more often. I think that eventually the whole population are just going to be pushed out, and it's all going to be people that have come in because of us.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. So, well, I think that's about all we've got time for.
Yeah, I'm afraid I have to run.
Out the oven.
Pick up my daughter. Can't abandon her. It's dark now, so it's a different time of year, isn't it?
All right, absolutely then. Okay then, in a few moments I'll tell you who my expert guest will be next week. But for now, let's give Chris a big virtual hug and a kiss and say goodbye for now. And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time, November the 10th, with part 4 of the series, which will be about the residency, or what you call part 2, don't you, of the whole process.
Stage 1,
Stage 2. But we're calling this part 4 of the whole long-term thing. So anyway, that's TIE cards, sorting out your other residency stuff, tax, padrons, registering your vehicle, and much more. So that'll be a very exciting show. So bye for now. Have a good week.
Cheers.
Bye. Oh, got to press that button now. Whee! Okay. So wasn't that groovy? Of course it was. Who do we have on the next show? Well, she was on your screens earlier with a little advert. It is, I'm happy to say, the return of our Spanish lawyer friend Charis, and she'll be answering your questions about her specialist topics, property law and immigration law. And don't forget the special offer she has, which is running, I think, for the rest of this year. You'll see the advert on the show on every live show now on Monday evenings until the end of the year and maybe beyond. In the meantime, before next week, keep your eyes on the Facebook group and the Facebook page. The Facebook group is the YouTooSpain community. The Facebook page is just called YouTooSpain. You'll find any more details on there and everything else that's going on. And I'll see you on the Friday video that drops at 6 o'clock Spanish time. Everything is 6 o'clock Spanish time now in the evening. And that one is, it's a really exciting show. It's going to be all about the highs and lows of moving from the US. It's about a Latin American immigrant called Sophie. She's going to be telling her story. And so that's a wonderful new friend for you all to meet. So there's horror and nightmares. That's appropriate because this Friday is Halloween. So we might even dress up for the show as well. And of course, join me next Monday live at 6 o'clock Spanish time with Charis. Somebody pass around the non-lucrative stress-free visa cookies and peas and fluff, everyone. And I'll leave you all with a message from all the voices in my head at YouTooSpain. Bye to everybody on the live chat, and I will see you soon. Wave goodbye, lads. Bye. Goodbye. Toodaloo. Peace and love. Peas and fluff. Oi, oi. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. One more cosmic dance? All right, then. Look, Mum, I'm dancing. Oh, I'm all a quiver. Let's dance.